get to the money. Gotta get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. So you know that I'm on it. Gotta make sure that my family's straight. Gotta make sure that my kids and me. Gotta make sure that.
Welcome to another episode of Drinking After Dark, a podcast where we discuss random topics while having a few drinks. I'm your host, Darius, and as always, drink responsibly. And y'all make sure y'all follow Drinking After Dark podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to Drinking After Dark podcast YouTube channel. Tonight, uh, drinking on some Crown and Coke. Tonight, man. Uh, tonight, no, I was drinking this, and man, I just got done watching the fight, so we got to talk about it. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. And there's a lot of things that happened during this time. Okay, but first, I'm gonna talk about the previous two undercard fights before we get started. All right. So the first undercard fight, they had a fight before that. It was like some I forgot who it was. I guess it was like a social media influencer, celebrity, whoever, and another guy fighting. That fight was entertaining. Um, but let's get to the real fights, okay? All right, so Barros and Ramos, okay. This is for the WBC welterweight title. Uh Mario Barros, he Barrios was is the defending welterweight champion who went against Abel Ramos. And this fight was very entertaining, okay? This particular fight um had everything you want in it, right? Both guys knocked each other down. Um, Ramos basically wasn't really the number one contender, but he got his title shot. And in the beginning, it looked like he was overmatched. Okay. Uh, Barrios, he was bigger. He was a bigger fighter, more skilled boxer. It looked like he had more power in this fight, but Ramos came back and he really held his own. Barrios got the knockdown first, uh, and then later on in the fight, Ramos shocked Barrios with a knockdown, and it felt like Ramos was um, really taking control of this fight because he was really losing this fight, but he came back, turned everything around. Um, Fight came down to the wire, and the result it was a draw. Okay, so Barrios got to keep his welterweight title. There's been talks for a rematch. I hope they do have a rematch because that was a great fight. Anybody who watched this fight, um, it was a great fight, and I hope they go do a rematch. Um, Now let's talk about after this particular fight because now this is where the issues started to happen. Netflix was I don't know what was going on with Netflix. Okay. I'm not the only one. A lot of my friends and family on Facebook, and there's a lot of people all around who was tuning in watching these fights on Netflix. And you gotta remember, this is the first ever live sporting event for Netflix. Okay. Now they had some comedy specials that was live. Chris Rock was one, Cat Williams was another, but this is the first sporting event that was live. Okay. And yeah, it wasn't a great showing. Now, when I first started watching these fights, I watched the first two fights. Like I said, it was some fight that went six rounds before the welterweight title fight. Those two fights went to me on my end, no problems. But after this fight, this is where all the issues happen, all the buffering and all of that stuff. I'm not the only one who had this issue. Everybody on social media was talking about it. They were upset. I personally said Netflix should not do this again. I was absolutely right. Should have been on Peacock, Prime. Um, what else? You could have put it on ESPN Plus. See what I'm saying? You could have put it on these other streaming services that's so used to having these type of fights and having all these people coming and watching uh these type of events. That's what should have happened, but it didn't happen. It was buffering, which I was so upset because the fight um before the main event I really wanted to watch was Taylor versus Serrano. And let me tell you something, man. That particular fight, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, it was a rematch from 2 years ago where Taylor barely escaped. Um, a lot of people felt like Serrano won that fight. I was one of them. This fight was history. I mean, it was fight of the year back in 2022. First, women's boxing match. That was the main event at Madison Square Garden, and part two tonight did not disappoint. It did not disappoint, but I was so mad. I missed half the fight. I missed the first. Basically, I missed the first 4 rounds of this fight. But the from round 5 through the end, I was able to watch it. It was a great fight. It was a slugfest. Um, I felt like after watching that fight, from the first fight to this fight, I felt like to me, Katie Taylor did not win. I felt that. And here's the thing about boxing. I don't care if this is women fighting or men fighting. The judges always seem to get it wrong for whatever reason. Okay. And these judges got it wrong because Serrano clearly outclassed Taylor, clearly outlanded, um, out through, connected better. And only thing Taylor could do is cheat her way. She was a dirty to me. I feel like she was fighting a dirty fight, headbutting on purpose. Now sometimes, because of, Southpaw versus Orthodox, headbutts happen and everything. But clearly on in the fight, you could tell she was trying to use her head in the fight. And she pulled this fight off, and it was a shock to everybody. And listen, everybody had the right to boo. I was upset with the result. Taylor did not win this fight. She really lost this fight, and Serrano got robbed. You gotta remember, she moved up 3 weight classes for this. Okay, and even with the first fight, felt like she won. So with this fight, clearly outboxed her, outpunched her, outlanded her, and these judges gave it to Taylor. I don't know why they gave it to her. It was a close fight. Don't get me wrong. It was a close fight. It wasn't like it was a blowout, but this particular fight, was Serrano. Excuse me, but it was clearly Serrano who won this fight, and the judges screwed her. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Shout out to her trainer who came out and spoke out against this, spoke out against the referee, spoke out against the judges, spoke out against Taylor herself. So shout out to him because it needs to be obvious. She has a track record of doing this. So, um, and what I'm saying, doing this like fighting dirty. So that to me, I felt like it needed to be said, and he came out and said it. So shout out to him. Now, again, even with all of this, Netflix still had issues, right? Everybody had these issues. Everybody thinking, oh, it's their own internet connection and all of that. Netflix was tripping tonight. And I felt like Netflix should not do this again. No more live sports. That's not short. Here's the thing: stay in your lane. I'm always the type of person that says stay in your lane. Okay. Netflix, you're increasing people's prices. And then when you have something like this, right, where everybody is talking about it, everybody's flocking to it, and you failed the delivery, you failed. And listen, I personally think that this month's bill, it should be five, maybe $10 off because you failed in this regard. All right. Now I don't know whose idea to put it on Netflix, but understand this: you got WWE coming up in January, and we all know WWE is a live event. So therefore, if y'all don't have this stuff corrected, you're gonna lose a whole lot of customers. Because I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of wrestling fans who follow WWE who are loyal to the brand and everything like that. If y'all don't get y'all act together, you could lose people, you could lose money, and you never know from there. Okay, so get it right. Get it right. Now let's go to the main event. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. First off, let me say this. This main event felt like it took forever to get to. Okay. It felt forever for it to happen. Um Now this particular fight, it was sanctioned, but a little different. The 14-ounce gloves, 2-minute rounds, 8 rounds. Um this fight, I'll put it to you this way. Out of all the fights that took place tonight, the main event was by far the worst. Okay. It was nothing but hype, name recognition. Clearly you see the age in Mike Tyson showing 58 years old. Um, Clearly moved around like he was 58. And sometimes, it's okay to say no. I'll listen, if it's a lot of money they offering, hey, go ahead, take the money. I'm not gonna blame you not one bit. But this particular fight, well, I'll say this, it really wasn't a fight. I felt like obviously Tyson wasn't going to be himself. And one thing you can't beat is father time. And father time wasn't on Tyson's side. I mean, now was Tyson in great shape for his age? Absolutely. But being in shape and being in ring shape is two different things. Any athlete know, oh, I could be in shape, but be in game shape, excuse me, be in game shape, it's a whole different thing. And obviously it showed Tyson really didn't throw much. Tyson looked like he could barely stand. Tyson looked like he was tired. Um, Even with Jake Paul looked tired too. So it wasn't an entertaining fight. All the hype and everything that was built up around it, um, it didn't deliver. And I think a lot of people paid attention to see what was going to happen, how Mike Tyson was going to look, but we forget the fact that he is 58 years old. And Mike Tyson didn't look himself. He didn't look like himself. And I think that is it showed. Now he didn't get knocked out, and to his credit, he took some punches. He took some punches, and he stayed in there. I felt like at times I felt like Jake Paul was not trying to go for the knockout out of respect for Mike Tyson. That's what it felt like to me. Because if Jake Paul wanted Mike Tyson out of there, I think he could have got him out of there. Um, even even for like a guy who's 58, who still listen, one punch could change anything. Okay. So he didn't want to get too reckless. I get it. Because you don't want to get caught with something and all of a sudden you get knocked out. Um, I heard, who was it? Was it Andre Ward or was it Roy Jones Jr.? Basically said that this was a loss for Jake Paul regardless. It could be a win lose or a lose lose. And I think for me, it's time. I think whoever's in Jake Paul's corner, his camp, whatever, if Jake Paul is going to take this thing seriously, now it's time for you to fight actual fighters, not MMA fighters. We're talking about boxers, those who train for this every day. We're not talking about celebrities. We're not talking about MMA fighters. We're not talking about guys who are, way, way, way past their prime and all that. No, because even if you said you beat Mike Tyson, people are going to say, well, that's not the Mike Tyson 30 years ago. Or, yeah, 30 years ago, even 20 years ago in his last fight. I believe it was 20 years ago, Jake Paul would have been out of there because Tyson, he can move better. You can look at his legs. His legs, I mean, it just didn't look right. He can move better. He had more stamina. He still had that pop, that quickness about him and everything about that. It wasn't the same. So this particular fight, out of the four fights I saw, remember I said watch four fights tonight. By far, this main event fight was the worst fight uh of the night. And what made it what made this night not so good, I mean, again, Netflix, I cannot say enough how bad you dropped the ball on this, right? Because even with the co-main event, Taylor and Serena, people wanted to see that fight. I was disappointed that I could not see the whole fight. Yeah, I seen half the fight, but I didn't see the whole fight. And that's the thing that bothers me. You pay for a service, your job is to deliver. Y'all had this thing hyped up for a long time, and then come and it started off great. It started off great. Did you underestimate how many people was going to be tuned in? Or did you feel like, oh, a lot of people want to go to some people's houses, go to a bar or something, watch the fight, blah blah. A Friday night, people just getting off of work and they ain't got really if they already have the service, they ain't gotta go nowhere to go catch the fight. They can stay at home, eat popcorn, eat snacks, or eat pizza, have a drink or something, and enjoy the night. And y'all did no. I mean, listen, you took a chance and it failed. All right. A lot of people are upset with Netflix. A lot of people suggest that, hey, you should not do this again. Um, so whatever, wherever y'all trying to move to, wherever alley y'all trying to move to, y'all gonna have to get it right. Gotta get it right. And this was Netflix failed the consumers tonight. They did. They failed the consumers. You failed your customers because this is what they really wanted to see with no problems whatsoever. Okay. With no problems whatsoever. And y'all failed it. And y'all should send an apology to every customer out there that y'all would do better. That's what it should be. And that's that. Uh but back to the main event. Obviously Jake Paul won. Not a surprise. This particular I think what it is, I think Jake Paul to me is turning this more into an entertainment. People are buying into it. I mean, people buying into it, continue to do it. At some point, you're gonna have to fight a real professional, not somebody that strategically that can make you look bad or make you look like an amateur. You got to get in the ring with somebody who is, even if they have like five professional fights, but they have a strong, intensive amateur background. That's who he's going to have to go up against. Prove yourself to the boxing world. Yeah, yeah, you get better, but now it's time for you to, okay, stop playing these games, start getting in the ring with some real fighters, and let's see how well you hold up. So that is my reaction for tonight's fight. I hope Barrios and Ramos, I hope they go at it again. I hope they have a rematch because it ended in a draw, which I'm not surprised about. It was a great fight. Um, I know a lot of people who watched that fight would agree with me, but that co-main event, that was the fight of the night. Okay, when you talking about a fight that would draw fans in, right? You had two highly competitive fighters in Taylor Serrano, and they delivered. They delivered this fight. Should there be a third fight? Yeah, but I cannot trust the judges. I cannot trust Taylor because I don't think. And here's the thing: her hands is actually quicker, but her tactics is like is just dirty tactics, and the judges fell for it. Judges fell for it. Sereno had a big gash right here. If y'all seen it from the headbutt right there, it was bad. First time it happened, it was like okay, whatever. But then it happened again, and it opened up some more. It looked terrible. But she went out there and she finished that fight. She went out there, finished that fight, and honestly, she should have won. She should have became the new champion, and she got screwed. Anybody who want to disagree with me, you probably didn't see the same fight I saw because even when you saw Rosie Perez and Roy Jones Jr. right there, they couldn't even believe it. So, and we seen this. We seen this happen so many times in the sport of boxing. That's the problem with boxing. You got guys, you got judges who have never been inside the ring judging these fights, and they're calling these fights. I'm like, no, I think they need ex-boxers, trainers, who don't have any ties to any of these fighters whatsoever. Call, judge the fights, and then I believe that what they say will be right. So that's what I will go with. I think ex-fighters should judge these fights. That's what I believe because I believe they know boxing better than these judges. Especially if you have not been, especially if you have never been in the ring fighting, who never fought before. So that's my thing. But yeah, y'all leave y'all comments below, man. Y'all tell me how y'all felt about the event overall. Okay. From the four uh televised fights to the Netflix issues. Tell me which fight was your favorite. Tell me which fight was your least favorite. All right. Also tell me, man, what y'all been drinking on tonight. Why y'all was watching this fight? I told you what I was drinking on tonight. So again, a lot of you guys are probably at the comforts of your home who was watching this fight. If you went out to watch this fight, man, please, please, uh, if you've been drinking, don't drive at all, man. Call a Uber, call a friend or a family member to take you home, and then if you got to go pick up your car the next day, go pick up your car the next day. All right. Uh, that just how I feel. Um, Before we get out of here, man, just make sure y'all follow Drinking After Dark podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Also, you can catch the episodes right here on YouTube, or you can watch on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. So, you know, thanks for tuning in with me tonight. This I had to do this because at first I was gonna do a preview, but I'm like, man, you know what? I'm just gonna do a reaction um from tonight. And overall, with the first three fights, very entertaining. But with the Netflix issue and the main event, man, I gotta give it two thumbs down. So, but again, if y'all might feel differently, y'all might feel the same way. All right. But I will see you guys next week. I'm Darius from Drinking After Dark Podcast, so we out. Peace.